So the next question has been in the comments, not only here for Q&A, but also in the poll that I post every week, and something I'm also pretty curious about myself. So Project Veritas posted another video based on leaked materials that expose our colleagues' names and also put them at risk. So what are we doing to actually stop leakers, and how are we keeping our colleagues safe? And I know that Heidi is on the line as well to help you answer this one, but something that I've seen in the comments quite frequently.
Yeah, and I mean, Heidi should definitely jump in on this, but I mean, there are a lot of questions that we get a lot of the time around, when people leak stuff, do we find them? And, and I've been clear that we have the number of efforts to find people and we terminate people and pursue the recourse that we have when we identify them. And in this case, we did find them. So, Heidi maybe can talk a bit about that. But we generally don't talk about it or go out of our way when we find folks who leak. But we do a reasonably good job at this, and I think it's the kind of flip side of the coin from having an open culture is we can be open and we can share a lot of stuff, but we also need to be very good at rooting out people who are leaking stuff. And I think over the last year there have been more leaks than I think all of us would have wanted, but we also find a lot of the folks and terminate them. So anyhow, Heidi, why don't you go for it?
Sure, I'm happy to. As you said, we generally don't share specifics around the actions we take to mitigate and investigate leaks because we don't want leakers to find a way around them. But we do take leaks very seriously. We always investigate them to the fullest extent possible. And when we find leakers, which we often do, we have a zero tolerance. So that means we fire them. And we also consider other things, other actions, such as legal action. For those of you who don't know the context around this question, Project Veritas released a video last week alleging that they had uncovered a new effort to censor vaccine concerns globally. It was based on leaked documents about a health integrity program that we have in place that combats vaccine hesitancy by taking a hard stance against vaccine misinformation. This is a program we've proudly spoken about publicly in our blog. So in this case, while we don't like our internal documents leaked and being shared externally, this isn't where the damage was done with this latest Project Veritas. The leakers here were searching for these documents. It seems they leaked them to sabotage our efforts because they didn't agree with the direction of the company. But in doing this, they also exposed the names of a number of our employees. They shared org charts, they shared documents and posts with employee names, and the leaker also mentioned some of these names in the video that was released, speculating about the roles of these employees in the program. And once documents are out of the company, it's very hard for us to control what happens to them. It's hard for us to control what media outlets are going to do with them. And they almost always include employee names. This was not an isolated incident. So leaking really puts our colleagues at risk. And the same is true when employees leak our Q&As. When these things happen to our employees, our legal and HR and global security teams support them, that we want to ensure people's safety. But as you can imagine, this is incredibly upsetting and very distressing for our colleagues. I am happy to confirm what Mark said. In this case, we did find the leaker. It was a data center technician in our Prineville data center, and he was fired last week. We're also continuing to investigate additional potential leakers, and we plan to take action there too. We're also working on continuing to ramp up our investigative techniques as our company grows to make sure we can continue to find and fire leakers. One thing this case does show, though, is that leaks are always bad for the company. They threaten our open culture, as Mark said. They make it harder for us to achieve our goals, and they generally encourage more leaks, including those that put our colleagues at risk. I know some people here feel that there are good leaks and there are bad leaks, but they're all damaging and they're not the right way to bring about change, especially at a company like this where people are free to share their opinion and to raise questions to Mark here at Q&As. You may think you're leaking because you want to hold leadership accountable or that you're on the right side of history, But that is very subjective, and you may not have all the information to make that call. And the people who leaked our coworkers' names last week, they thought they were doing the right thing too.
All right, thank you.